Hey, I'm not catching anything today, so how about instead of us wasting time here, we tie some Pompano flies. Alright, so we're going to go back home and I'm going to show you a way of tying a Pompano rig, and also we're going to tie the teaser flies. So I'm going to put up this fishing rig and then we'll be back at the house and I'll show you how to make these flies. Stick around. Okay, for our Pompano rig, here's a few things that you're going to need. First, you're going to need to have one of these Wacky jigs. They're called different things, wiggler jigs. This is 3/8 of an ounce. I really would love to have 1/2 ounce where I'm fishing, but that's all I can get. You don't really need this, but I like it. This is some ribbon I found at Walmart, and it has kind of a pearlescent glitter to it, so we'll use that. Some number 4 hooks. These are plain shank. All right, and I splurged. I got the 50 count. So I paid $4 instead of $2 for 10. So we got that. Some type of fluff. Now I'm going to use craft feathers because this was $2. But you can use a number of things. If you're a father and you have a bunch of girls, doll heads tend to go missing. All of a sudden you're wondering if your baby girl is possessed. So there'll be like a box of doll heads somewhere lying around. That doll hair makes wonderful fluff. The little My Little Ponies that they throw away, wonderful fluff. Another thing is if you go into the $1.25 tree, they will have, they'll have, powder brushes that are pink. You can buy those and cut them and you got fluff that's pink. You can go into Harbor Freight and they have these really soft bristled, white bristled paint brushes that are cheap. You can cut those. The good thing about those, you can dye them. So you can use either Kool-Aid, because Kool-Aid is cheaper than food coloring, or you can use food coloring. They have pink food coloring. They have fluorescent green. They have a bunch of different food coloring dyes, but you can also use Kool-Aid and it will stain it that color and then you cut it. Or you can get magic markers. Well, Magic Marker is a brand. Permanent marker that is these colors. I'm going to be using the yellow, the green, and the pink. I don't do well with orange. So I'm not going to use the orange. Some people like orange. So if you wanted to, this has every color you need. I'm using this. Another thing you do with fluff, you can take this and just kind of take your 2 fingers and wrap it around several times, whatever sewing thread, what color you want to use, and that will be fluff. I'm using this to tie the fly. And this right here, it's hard to find. If you can find it, this is used for buttons, and it's also used for like quilting and heavy duty sewing. So this is a heavier thread than regular thread. I like using it so I don't have to worry about breaking. A lot of YouTubers will say to use the Zebco. They used to say it was $2, now it's like $3 and something cent where I live. But they'll say get the 20 pound. I wouldn't go much more than 20 pound. I couldn't find 25 pound. 30 pound is getting a little bit too heavy. But they talk about saying, oh, use the Zebco, it's cheaper. Yeah, trust me, it's cheap for a reason. If you're going to be doing it, do it right. Get 2 stages up. So you got Zebco for like $3, Ozark Trail for $5, and this is $8. Get the $8. It is worth what you're paying versus Ozark Trail or Zebco, especially the Zebco garbage. Finally, this is just some clear fingernail polish. In fact, this is the LA Colors brand. They sell at Walmart, they sell it at the Dollar General, they sell it a number of places. It runs about $2 a bottle. You can buy a number of colors, but clear is what I use the most because I use this both like a super glue and also as a adhesive. Now the other thing that we have is a pair of scissors. These right here are unique. These are sometimes called seamstress scissors or crafter's scissors. They fold out into a pair of scissors so that you can really cut little, they're super sharp. They will sometimes be in the key section because they're normally key rings. Walmart used to carry them. I found this at a local hardware store. And the final thing that's not required, but it does make things more interesting and a lot easier, is a drill. And that's going to act as the vise. So let's get started. So I've got my drill sitting here on this little table here. And all I've done is I've put the very eye of the hook into the chuck. That way when I hit the button, it turns for me. And that's what I'm wanting. I'm wanting it to turn and hold that hook. And so now we're going to start with the next step. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a little bit of this fingernail polish and dab it onto the hook shank. And then I'm being deliberately a little slow because I'm wanting it kind of set. I'm not really in a hurry right now. Right now. I'll put a little bit right here. And what I'm trying to do is build a little bubble. And that really is to flare out this a little bit. So it'll make itself more known and understandable in a minute. Okay, so that is good right there. All right, now we'll go to the next step. Okay, this is a fly, or this is a feather. When they talk about Malibu, this is that fluffy stuff. You really just need a little bit, and I mean a little bit. So I'm just going to pinch just a little bit off of this. I actually got part of the stem. Peel that off. And then we're going to put this right here and start wrapping. Okay. Now we'll take a little bit more, put over here to this side, and I do hate fluffy stuff. Now I'm going to take a little bit more of this right here and get this on here good. Make a few more wraps just to seal that up as we build our fly. So, oops. go. Okay, so what I did is I had this ribbon, it comes in about 1/4 of an inch piece, so I just took my scissors and cut it in half. You can actually cut one side and get fluff out of it and use the fluff out of it, so that's another way of getting fluff, but I didn't want to do that. But you can see all this little hair stuff coming out of it. Instead, what I'm going to do is put some fingernail polish, and I found a few pieces of fluff and I just stuck them to that wet fingernail polish. I'm going to do one on one side and one on the other and wrap it, and I'll show you that in a second. Okay, so all I did, I just kind of wrapped a few times. There we go. Now everything is working as it should. I think I want a little bit more fluff right here. Now, if you want to use super glue, feel free. I am not one to down super glue one bit. I hate having more than one adhesive if I can use a multitasker, but I'm going to put that right there, loop it around, and Bob Shaw. All right, now let me take this out of the vise, and what we're going to do is just kind of make sure it's all wrapped good. As much as I would like to say the drill always works, I still trust me better than a drill. Drill just makes it a little faster. Now, you see that little piece right there? That's where you take your scissors, you trim out that little wisp. And then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and trim that line right there. And we'll just paint a good bit of the fingernail polish on it. So we'll take and do this. Get that fingernail polish going good. And make sure that every little piece of this is covered. So all that thread is soaked in fingernail polish. And anything that we need to trim up, we'll trim up. But I'm thinking that that's looking pretty good as it is. We'll get a little bit more on there. And you can keep adding coats as you wish to make it more durable. This will get eaten alive very quickly. Well, I am definitely not a fly tire. If you stick to the end of this video, you'll actually see some outtakes of the stuff that I didn't show, but you can tell that I am not a fly tire at all. But at any rate, let's take a look at how we would rig these up. I've got some, these are called Wacky jigs, sometimes called goofy jigs, banana jigs, swim jigs. They're known by a bunch of different names. Buccaneer is one of the companies that makes these, and they call these wiggler jigs. So, I mean, there's like 1,000 different names for this lead, diamond-shaped, banana-shaped, whatever this is supposed to be jig. And these are called teaser flies. Now, these lead jigs here are too small, as I said before. This is all that any of the stores carry anymore. It's hard to find, you know, lead jigs that are of sufficient weight that won't be picked up by the waves. Evidently, nobody knows about Florida's waves, so there's that. But I'm going to show you how to rig these up. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is make a loop knot. If you know how to do a canoe man's loop, go ahead and do that. I'm just doing a simple loop knot that's overhand. So I'm going to do like that. I'm going to run this through. I'm going to run this with the hook going the opposite direction, going through like this. Then it will go through. Then about 5 times or so through that main loop again, and Bob's your uncle. Alright, so that's a loop knot. I'll get these off to the side. Cut your tag end. Alright. Now, the idea, I don't believe it, but there's this idea that when you have a heavy enough weight that this mimics a clam or something, and this can ride up and down, and it acts as a teaser to be the nipply bits of a clam or something other. Some people do smaller loops. I do a bigger loop. You can do whatever you like. Then, away from it a little ways, we're going to do a dropper loop. And a dropper loop is a pretty simple thing. What you do is you figure out how big you want your loop, and then you grab both ends and you twist a few times in the center part. And some people use matchsticks. I just use my fingers, and you just make a few wraps. And then if I didn't have a camera, I'd be using my teeth to help me with this, but I've got to do it with a camera in front of me, so otherwise I couldn't show you. So what we'll do is we'll take this out. I'll use my finger instead to pull it. And of course you always want to moisten the line, but I'm going to be making up my own. This is just to show you on YouTube. But there's that. Then what you do is you take and run your line through the eye, and you got to pinch it. And this is a small eye here, so not the best in the world. In fact, I'm going to open that up a little bit with this hook, because that has gotten clogged up a little bit from the fly making process, and I just want to open up a little bit. Neat little trick. If the eye isn't big enough or it's clogged, use a hook. Alright. And of course this is not wanting to go through. Eagle claw, you can make a bigger eye. My God, man. You could definitely make a bigger eye on your hooks. It would not kill you. So if you ever run into a problem where you can't get the hook, or not, the eye, the hook will not let the line you're using go through the eye, what you can do is take some heavy duty thread or some lighter monofilament or any fishing line that will go through twice. Run it through the eye, run it through your line. Basically, you make a snake, and then that will allow you, with a little help by bending the line. And again, I would normally use my teeth on this, but you bend this right here. And it goes through like that. So now what you do is you just run it around and you pull it back. And Bob's your uncle. Now you have your teaser fly. So you have this big loop knot, and then you have your teaser fly. And the idea is, as it's bumping along, you know, the waves and everything, that these right here are independent of each other, and the Pompano will hit one of these. 90% of the time, they will hit the teaser fly and not the little banana jig, wacky rig, or wacky jig, goofy jig, where you want to call it, swim jig. They will not hit that. They will hit these instead. So 10% of the time they'll actually hit this. And so that's a nice little setup. We'll do something just so you can see what it looks like. I'll rig this other up and you can see it. Okay, so this is my other rig setup. Same system. They're roughly about 8 inches apart, 10 inches apart. And the idea is that as this is, you know, sitting on the bottom, that this is riding free. And this one right here, over here, is riding free, and the Pompano think it's something, you know, some little invertebrate, and they come along and eat it. So that's the basic setup of what I will be using on this fishing trip. Now, I do not use swivels, especially when I'm saltwater fishing. The reason why is that the you'll get some toothy critters like Spanish mackerel and things that will hit swivels. So I'll use a double uni knot when I'm tying on to my main line, and then that will allow for me to have a swivelless setup. So that's how I set up everything. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that you found it to be insightful. As you can tell, there's memory in this line. It's not the best in the world. I mean, trilene is not the best, but it is better than the Zebco that they talk about. And it's definitely better than, you know, Walmart's Ozark Trail. But if you do like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you hadn't already. Comment down below if you've used this rig, or you've caught Pompano and you used a different rig or something like that. I'd love to hear about it. And with that, I'll see you again next time. Bye. I'm just kind of wanting to get this going right, and I want it to kind of hold that cord or that thread just a little bit. Oops. Fix this. There we go. Okay. This right here and start wrapping. Go from there. So I'm going to make a wrap to get it started. Actually, no, I'm not. And I do hate fluffy stuff. Okay. Now on the other side, I'm going to get this. Whoops. When doing this, don't do as I do. I had the fan on and I had my drill on super fast, which you don't want. You want it to be kind of slow moving. And so there we go. Now everything is working as it should. So don't expect it to last very long. Don't get any attachments to it. And of course, like I got some fingernail polish on my fingers, so if fluff gets away, it happens. Don't get upset. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to have this like this. And then I'm going to have the teaser go in a different direction. Like, I can get it through the eye. Or did I actually? There we go. Like that. Alright, now. Actually, I didn't want it that way. Three, two, one. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to string this on our thread here. I'm going to try to get the hooks going opposite directions. So, like this. There we go. Now, we're going to do a thing called a canoe man loop. So, canoe man loop, you make a loop, and then you make another loop behind it. So, one in the front, one in the back, and then you put the one in the front, and then you take your tag and you run it through that front loop. Now, you cinch this up. This is where moisten it would help. But I'm actually not going to use these because I'm waiting for some heavier weight sinkers to come in. And I'll rig up then. But what you do is you want to make sure that it's cinched up tight, because you don't want that to slip out like that did. So you want to check it, make sure it's tight. We'll moisten it. Okay. And tighten this up some more. And then well, crap. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a loop knot. Now, if you know how to do a canoe man's loop where it don't slip, do that. But frankly, I just don't trust that loop knot. I don't like it. Some people get it to work for them. I have had it work for me, but that is not something I've had work for me before. So what I'm going to do, what did I just do? Alright, 3, 2, 1. So what we're going to do now is do a loop knot. My dog is deciding he's wanting to be. Okay. I guess he's settled now.